Negotiations are underway at the Illinois State House on everything from the state budget to the Bears stadium bill. Tonight, the House GOP leader on what her members want in the final days of session. Plus, a competitive race for Chicago's first elected school board president is underway. Candidate Victor Henderson is here. Let's get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. Lawmakers have just 4 more days to pass a budget and tie up loose ends. And while Democrats enjoy a supermajority in both chambers, Republicans want to have their say as well. State Representative Tony McCombie says her party has a number of priorities they'd like addressed. House GOP leader Tony McCombie joins us now on The Point. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
U.S. Senator Dick Durbin addressed Springfield, a joint session, but there were House Freedom Caucus members who called for a boycott. Leader, what was the problem with having Durbin speak?
Well, you would have to ask them, but certainly the Democrats wanted to celebrate his retirement, and I'm certainly willing to celebrate his retirement as well. It's time for some new change here in Illinois.
All right, let's talk about what's left undone, which seems like almost everything, Leader. The governor and Democrats are looking at various housing proposals to build more inventory, lower costs. Some include protections against private equity firms, buying up housing and then raising prices as they've been doing. Some to help speed up the building process. They also call for transparency in broker fees, even help for faith-based organizations to be able to develop mixed-use and multifamily housing. Will Republicans support any of those ideas?
It'll depend on what the final bill looks like, but certainly we support the thought process of adding more housing inventory and affordable housing. And really, quite honestly, that starts with property tax relief. So it'll be interesting to see if there's additional hits on local control, certainly which raises our property tax. And I think that's something that we're going to be very hopeful to see, but we haven't heard about that yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and we'll get to the mega projects and the potential property tax relief in that legislation. Are you hearing anything else, though, that would offer property tax relief for Illinoisans?
Well, I think the most obvious thing that would certainly help with property taxes to increase the local government funding. As we saw this year in the governor's proposed budget, $60 million was removed from that. That forces locals to raise our property taxes. So we need to get that funding up. And that certainly is something that I think we could all get behind.
All right. What have you heard about the budget? Have any new taxes popped up in that?
Well, the governor's original budget had about $728 million. I believe about $700 million was in the proposed budget that dropped, 2 Fridays ago. Obviously, we know that the actual ending budget will look very different from that one, but I anticipate seeing $1 billion roughly in taxes and fees, nickel-diming again this year like we have the last 2 years.
I would imagine that'll be difficult for your members to vote for.
Very much so.
Speaking of votes, 9 House Republicans voted for the megaprojects bill that would help the Bears build in Arlington Heights. If the Senate takes out the megaprojects language and makes it just about Arlington Heights, will your members no longer support it?
Yeah, that'll be tough to see. You know, for us, the mega projects bill has been something that's been in the works for several years. And unfortunately, it's a tool that we need for investors to come to Illinois. And, we're starving for more population. We need to, raise our tax base compared to our tax rate. So this is really a way for investors to come and invest in our communities all around the state. I don't know if they just do a Bears bill, how Chicago Democrats can support it. So the rule in the unwritten rule on the Democrat side is a rule of 60. So if they call a bill, that means they have 60 Democrats. So devil will be in the details of that bill.
What do you think the chances the legislature doesn't act on Bears legislation?
Well, at this point, just with no conversations really happening, I think even between them, I'm really at a 50-50 right now, to be honest.
Wow. What do you want voters to know about Republicans' contribution to the spring session?
Yeah, your voice matters. One thing I love saying about our caucus is we represent the only caucus that represents parts of 102 counties. We're a very diverse caucus. And, we're the ones who are exposing and opposing bad policy. We're the ones that are pushing back on really bad bills, making them better. We're the one who, is sticklers when it comes to process, able to stop bad legislation coming to the floor. So, we're not always successful, but we make steps, and that's what we do when we're in the super minority. So certainly that's important for us to continue to listen and be the voice for all of our constituents.
One more quick question. The data centers, what's the Republican position on those?
Data centers. Well, we certainly, depending, the technology's changed. I think with the idea of the closed loop for the water for recycling, that takes away some of our concerns. The ability for them to maybe bring their own energy through the small nuclear reactors, I think that's certainly hopeful for us. Certainly seeing the incentives go away, will level the playing field. But we're going to have to see. It's really more about the high cost of energy for us. And it should be for the Democrats as well, because people are making a choice whether to pay for their mortgage, pay for their car payment, or pay their energy bills. So we really need to look at ways that we can get more energy on the grid, and then the data center will solve itself.
All right. House GOP Leader Tony McCombie, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we're back in 60 seconds. Five candidates will compete to lead Chicago's first fully elected school board this November. The list includes 2 current board members, the board's former VP, and the political director for the Chicago Teachers Union. Longtime lawyer Victor Henderson is the 5th candidate on that list. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right, good to have you. CPS is facing a budget deficit of more than $730 million. What's the fix?
Well, the first thing is you have to dive into the numbers. I don't take those numbers at face value. There has not been a lot of transparency coming out of CPS. I used to work as a certified public accountant. And so the first thing is you got to do a deep dive into the numbers. And everybody in the city of Chicago should know and should be able to trust that the numbers coming out of CPS are honest, straightforward, and candid. And right now we don't know that.
There's been a big push to go to Springfield and get greater resources as part of a long-term solution. Yeah. Would you join that effort?
There's a step A and step B. CPS must have an A grade or B grade in terms of how they're handling their finances, and then you see your way down to Springfield. I don't think you go down there before you establish to the taxpayers, to City Hall, to all the stakeholders that the money is being properly handled, and then you go ask for more. You don't ask for more before you've established that the money that you have is being handled properly, and right now we don't know that.
So how would you go about that? And what's your position on consolidation or even school closures?
So in terms of consolidations, I tell you, first and foremost, we can't do it like we did in 2013. You can't have pronouncements coming on high when you are affecting people in their communities. Every stakeholder, every person who lives in the community, they should be able to have some say, and maybe even a lot of say, and even the final say in terms of what happens in their neighborhood. So we can't have a situation where the mayor or a few group of people are telling somebody in the neighborhood where they don't live what's going to happen in their neighborhood. That's just not a good way to do things.
So you're not ruling out the possibility CPS might need to right size and close schools?
What I'm saying is let's dig into the numbers first. Let's see what we have. Your doctor's not going to tell you to go to surgery before he does an x-ray and a CAT scan. Let's get the information first and then figure out what to do, as opposed to figuring out what to do before we have the information.
You're on the board of Urban Prep Academies charter network. Urban Prep has faced major challenges. The Sun-Times wrote about the founder and CEO, Tim King, facing allegations of sexual misconduct. Yeah. There was an IG report about mismanagement by the operator. What was your role at Urban Prep, and what did you know about any of that misconduct?
So all of that happened before I got there. I was part of the recovery board, with one of the prominent lawyers in Chicago, James Montgomery. So we were invited in to help change things. But here's the bigger thing about what was going on at Urban Prep. There's a saying, that comes out of Africa, which is that when elephants are fighting, the grass gets trampled. And here you had CPS fighting with Urban Prep. The children are phenomenal. They have a 90 or 100% success rate in terms of graduations. They have a 90 or 100% success rate in terms of sending their kids to colleges. A phenomenal school. And so the fact that CPS would engage in politics to close that school down was just horrendous. Every kid in the city of Chicago, no matter what zip code they're in, deserves to have a great opportunity and a great education, and Urban Prep provides that.
The math and reading scores, how do you improve them?
So that's an educational issue. The role of the board is to provide the resources to the educators. Let the teachers teach. Let Dr. Macklin King figure out what needs to be done. The job of the board is to get them the resources that they need, to make sure that the money is right, to make sure that the finances are right, to make sure that the business side of things are happening so the teachers can teach, the educators can educate, and that's how you go about that.
Obviously, going to be a competitive contest. How much money do you think this will take? How are you going to raise money?
I've been pleasantly surprised and pleased about all the people from all across the country who are sending money. So I'm very comfortable that by the time the next reporting period comes in, that we will be extraordinarily competitive.
I've got about 30 seconds left. Are you ready for the rough and tumble of a Chicago campaign?
You know what? At the end of the day, I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. So for me, this is about doing God's work. The politics, leave those to other people. For me, I want to focus on the kids. And I want to focus on making sure that corporate governance is where it needs to be.
All right, Victor Henderson. It's going to be a heck of a school board race this fall.
And I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for your
hope
time.
to see you on the campaign trail.
See you next time.
All right. And you can watch our interviews with Jessica Biggs, Jennifer Custer, and Senthil Ravalori on WGN's YouTube page or at WGN-TV.com. Those are some of the other candidates. Tonight, a tip of the hat to the Democratic candidate for U.S. Senator from Texas, James Tellerico. This is how you try to add supporters. Republican Senator John Cornyn lost his primary contest to Ken Paxton. Tellerico makes no mention of Paxton, but he does praise Cornyn and strategically writes, "To Senator Cornyn supporters, you have a place in our campaign." We'll see how the general goes. Texas remains tough turf for Democrats. And that is The Point. I'm Tahman Bradley. Micah's back with